Shelby Sapp is 24 years old. She has 1.5 million Instagram followers, over a million on TikTok. She runs something called She Sells Academy, which she describes as the largest high-ticket sales academy for women in the world. She has over 3,000 students who each paid somewhere between $3,000 and $6,000 to be there. She drives a pink Porsche with a vanity plate that says "Sold Due," among several other pinked-out luxury cars. And she is currently being sued for $10 million by her former business partner, who claims she secretly built a competing company behind his back, which made over $1 million in its very first webinar. So let's actually talk about how all of this happened. Because the Shelby Sapp story is not really about sales. It's about what happens when someone figures out that the most profitable thing you can sell is the idea of learning how to sell. Shelby grew up in Arizona. She went to Arizona State University, Honors College. And during her time there, a mentor suggested she try door-to-door sales, specifically pest control, which is one of those jobs that sounds awful until you find out what the top earners make. D2D pest control in the summer is brutal. You're going house to house in 105-degree Arizona heat, knocking on doors of strangers who did not ask to see you, trying to convince them they have a bug problem they didn't know they had. The rejection rate is astronomical. Most people quit within the first week. Shelby didn't quit. She says she generated over $10 million door-to-door sales. That number has been questioned online, but what's clear is she was genuinely good at it. Good enough that she became one of the top reps on her team. Good enough that she started building a following on social media just by talking about what she was doing. And that's where the business model starts to take shape. Because here's the thing about door-to-door sales. It's an incredible training ground. You learn how to read people in the first 3 seconds. You learn how to handle being told no so many times that it stops meaning anything. You learn how to structure a pitch that moves someone from total stranger to signed contract in under 20 minutes. Those are real skills. And Shelby started posting about them. Short videos, sales tips, mindset content, the kind of stuff that is genuinely useful if you're someone who wants to make more money but doesn't have a degree or a corporate job or a conventional path in front of you. Her audience grew because the content was actually good. She wasn't faking expertise. She had spent years doing the things she was teaching people about. That authenticity is what separated her from the 10,000 other sales coaches posting the same generic advice on TikTok. And then she spotted something. There's a category of online work called remote closing or high-ticket sales. The basic idea is companies that sell expensive products, things priced between $5,000 and $50,000, need skilled people to get on the phone with potential customers and close the deal. They hire commission-based closers who work remotely. No office, no fixed salary, just a cut of whatever you close. In a good month, a skilled closer can make $10,000 to $20,000 doing this. In a bad month, they make nothing. But the pitch of that lifestyle, work from anywhere, no boss, income with no ceiling, is extremely compelling to a very large number of people, especially young women who are watching someone like Shelby living that exact life and wondering how she got there. And this is a real industry, to be clear. The global online education market was projected to hit $325 billion by 2025. Most of that ecosystem runs on high-ticket sales calls. Courses, coaching programs, consulting packages, anything priced at $5,000 or more almost never gets sold through a checkout button. It gets sold by a human being on a Zoom call who knows exactly when to stop talking. Companies in that space are constantly looking for people who can do that job, which means the demand for skilled remote closers is genuinely there. The question Shelby was answering wasn't a fake one. She Sells Academy was built to close that gap. Pay for the course, learn the skills, get placed with a company, start closing, get paid. That's the funnel. Let's talk about the economics of this for a second. She Sells Academy costs somewhere between $3,000 and $6,000, depending on the tier. She has over 3,000 students. Even at the low end of that math, the gross revenue from the academy alone is somewhere around $9 to $18 million. And that's before you factor in the monetization of her social media, her brand deals, her speaking engagements, and whatever other revenue streams are running in the background. She is 24 years old. That number is real. But here's where it gets complicated. Because the business model of teaching people how to sell has a structural problem baked into it. The people most likely to succeed in high-ticket remote sales are people who already have some sales experience, some confidence, some track record. The people most likely to pay $6,000 for a course are people who have none of those things and are hoping the course provides it. Those two groups don't overlap as much as the marketing implies. This isn't specific to Shelby. It's the central tension of the entire online education industry. The product is access to a skill, but the skill requires more than access to develop. It requires repetitions, real calls, real rejection, real companies who are willing to give you a shot while you're still figuring it out. A course can teach you the framework. It cannot guarantee the practice. Reddit threads on She Sells Academy are full of students who completed the program and couldn't find a placement. Or found one, struggled to close, and made significantly less than the lifestyle content suggested they would. Some students say the program changed their lives. Some say the post-enrollment support didn't match what was promised during the sales call, which, given what the sales call is selling, is a particularly specific kind of irony. The Academy's own website includes the standard disclaimer: individual results vary based on effort, experience, and market conditions, which is legally required language, but also the real answer to the question of whether this works for most people. Now, here's where Shelby's story gets genuinely interesting from a business infrastructure perspective. She didn't build She Sells Academy alone. Her business partner was a man named Georgy Stoytsev, who goes by George. Their arrangement, according to the lawsuit George filed in September 2024, was straightforward. Shelby was the face, the content, the social media presence that brought in all the attention. George handled the operations, the back end, the administrative infrastructure that actually made the academy function, front of house and back of house. And for a while, it worked. But then, according to the lawsuit, a person named Blake Rocha approached Shelby with an offer. Leave the partnership. Start a new company called She Sells Remote. Better terms, more ownership, more money. The lawsuit alleges Shelby took that deal without telling George, and that She Sells Remote launched and generated over $1 million in its very first webinar. The first webinar. $1 million. Without her former partner seeing a cent of it. George filed the complaint in Miami-Dade County Circuit Court on September 12, 2024. The allegations include breach of fiduciary duty and misappropriation of trade secrets under Florida law. He's seeking over $10 million in damages. His argument is that the business infrastructure he built, the training systems, the operational frameworks, the back end that made She Sells Academy run, was used to launch the competing company without his knowledge or consent. Shelby's defense has been that there was never a formal legal partnership, but the lawsuit references an email from Shelby herself in which she wrote that she was, and this is a direct quote, terminating my ownership with Girl Sales Boss and my former business partner completely and instantly, which is a sentence that gets harder to defend when you're arguing there was no partnership to terminate. The judge denied Shelby's motion to dismiss in January 2025. That's significant. A motion to dismiss is basically the defendant saying the lawsuit has no legal merit and should be thrown out before it even starts. The judge said no, which means there's enough substance to the allegations that a court needs to actually look at them. As of the most recent filings in 2025, the case is still open. Discovery is ongoing. No settlement has been publicly announced. And this all went from a Miami courtroom to full internet discourse in May 2025 when a YouTuber named Spencer Cornelia made a video about it, which is when Shelby's comment section started filling up with people who had opinions. Some of her audience defended her completely. Some people who had taken the course came forward with their own experiences. The conversation got messy in the way that these things always do online. And Shelby kept posting pink Porsche, sales tips, motivational content, business lifestyle. The machine kept running even while the lawsuit was happening, which is actually the most interesting part of the whole story from a business standpoint. Because what Shelby built is remarkably durable. Even with active litigation and a Reddit thread full of critical reviews, the She Sells Academy Trustpilot page sits at 4.6 out of 5 stars. She still has over 3,000 enrolled students. She still gets brand deals. She was named one of the top 15 sales trainers in America for 2025 alongside people like Grant Cardone, who have been doing this for decades. She got there in 3 years, starting from pest control in Arizona. The brand weathered the controversy because it was built on something real. Not perfectly structured, not without problems, but genuinely built by someone who actually knows how to sell and actually taught people useful things. The lawsuit didn't break the business because the audience had already decided they trusted her before the lawsuit existed. Trust built over years of consistent content is a very hard thing to undo with a single news cycle. But the lawsuit is still open. And the allegations, if proven true, describe a very specific kind of betrayal. Not fraud, not a scam, the kind of thing that happens when a business grows faster than the agreements holding it together. 2 people build something. One of them gets a better offer. And the question of what was owed to who never got written down clearly enough to survive that moment. That's a story that happens in every industry at every level. It just usually doesn't happen while one of the people involved is posting daily to 1 million followers. So, where does Shelby Sapp sit right now? She is 24 years old with a multi-million-dollar business, an active $10 million lawsuit, and a following that hasn't stopped growing. She Sells Remote, the company she launched that started all this, generated 7 figures on day 1. She is simultaneously one of the most successful young female entrepreneurs in the online education space and the defendant in a case that could cost her everything she built. Both of those things are true at the same time. The rise is undeniable. The ruin hasn't landed yet. But there's a court date with her name on it. And whatever comes out in discovery is going to tell the rest of this story. Rise and ruin will be watching.